So the question for you guys, when is a good time to actually reach out to everyone that supports you and say, hey, I need help. This is really hard, but there's times it's hard. So today I want to be talking about Jazza's video that you just posted. This is really hard for me to say, it's called. The reason why I want to really record this is just because if I can really be a supporting hand, even though I'm really small channel, sharing the word is the best thing, right? So let's see what's going on with Jazza, and that's the only really big reason why I'm seeing this video.
Than I anticipated, and I understand if you don't have the energy for the full journey. So I'll just say right at the start, please support me on Patreon if you possibly can. It really would mean so much to me if you would consider supporting the channel. And if you want to know the full details as to why I am so emotional about this and find it so hard to ask for help, well, watch on.
Okay.
Hi.
He looks like he's having a hard time.
Today I've been feeling incredibly anxious.
This is not the normal Jazza. He's always bubbly. Just gotta say.
And scared and overwhelmed. And I feel like I need to be honest with you. But I also don't want to waste your time. So what is this video about? I'm just going to try and cut to the chase. I am launching a Patreon, but there are some really deep parts of me that are really struggling with it. And I want to open and enter it in the right way, which may not be the most elegant way, but honesty really matters to me. And I feel like if I all of a sudden launched a Patreon and put a smile on my face, if I did it with fanfare and promises and I don't know, more exciting content, that would be the smart way to do it. But it would also be fake. I would not be feeling that on the inside, at least to start with. And I feel like I need to process that, figure it out and share it, because that's what we content creators do, is we share everything. It is our impulse. I'll explain more of that later. But it all comes down to why. Why I create content, why I create art, and why I am scared to ask for help. Me. It's the most melodramatic Patreon launch you've ever seen. I feel like I'm already really messy in all of this, so I'm gonna create subcategories and we'll move forward with a plan. The first subcategory, my why.
Okay, that's a good one.
Second subcategory, my fear. The third, my dream. So let's start with my why. Like I sort of explained in my Draw My Life video that I made almost 8 years ago. Holy shit, I've been doing this for a while. I grew up in a large Mormon family. I was the second youngest, and my youngest brother had a hearing impairment. So in a large group of children, I feel like the attention sort of generally skipped me, both because there were a lot of people and because there were obvious needs with my younger brother's hearing impairment. I think if I'm honest, combine that with the fact that being raised in a Mormon culture, there's a constant presence of a judgment of your worthiness. For me, as a person, this was a monumental impact. I take everything at face value. I take everything someone says as honest, whether they mean it or not. And as a result, in that culture growing up, I always felt unworthy. I always felt judged, and if I did something wrong, I saw it as so monumentally more wrong of me as a person than I needed to feel. Combine that with being in a big family, and then moving to high school and being the youngest in my class and with no friends and not having many social graces and probably having ADHD but not being diagnosed. I didn't fit in. I didn't have friends. I was bullied and alone. The mixing pot of all those ingredients and me being a very emotional person, feeling everything very viscerally, meant that could have gone very badly for me. I could have been defeated by those circumstances. But instead, I found an escape in drawing. I used to sit in the canteen area at lunchtime and recess and draw pictures. And all of a sudden, I had this little power. I found this special ability where when I put my pencil on a piece of paper in front of me, everything around me, everyone around me disappeared because I was in charge, I was in control, and I could do anything. And the more I did it, the better I got. And the better I got, the more people noticed me because I could do something cool. I could make things happen that they couldn't. And I found who I was going to be for the rest of my life, and it never slowed down. Online, I built an audience on websites like Newgrounds by creating things that people loved, that they could attach to me, and that I felt then, if they loved what I made, they love me. And that is why I perform, and it is why I create. Now, I like to think over the many years that I've since grown and become a father and run a business, that I've emotionally matured far beyond those years. I've graduated from some of those struggles I had as a kid. But in reality, who we are is so deeply baked into us that we can't escape it. And I can never escape that child within me, that 11-year-old, and what motivated or scared him, because it still motivates and scares me. So that brings us to our second point nicely, which is what I'm afraid of. Why is this how I'm launching Patreon? I think, again, to contextualize this, I want to use a few other examples. The first was when I'd barely been making a living off of YouTube. It wasn't a lot, but it was enough. And that was a dream come true. But I had this idea. You see, we had this old ruined garden shed out in the backyard. It was moldy and rotten and falling apart, but it was a big shell of a building that I could see how to use. I knew we could do more and go bigger and create even cooler things. And I knew the way to do that.
That's crazy.
Was to ask for help. So I sold art prints and some original art, and we created the plan and we set up the page, and I felt on launch day then much the same as I feel right now. See, on launch day, the day that we hit live on the GoFundMe, I wasn't like, yeah, let's do this. We're going to crowdfund to fix the garden shed so I can do more stuff and people are going to help out. I was fucking terrified. So much so that I asked my wife to not disturb me. I went into the studio, I locked the door. I said, don't bring it to me. I don't want to know. And for hours, I just ruminated and tried to shut out the entire idea. And what actually followed was my wife ignored my rule after a couple of hours because we were getting so much overwhelming kindness and support that she had to show me. She had to show me that where I was at in my head is not where other people were at with me.
Like, no one's being negative. No one's...
I've been so scared. I didn't even want to do this. But we decided to do it because we thought it was the right step to take. This fundraiser was never about money for us. It was about what we can make. And you all have shown that not only you want us to make that stuff for you, but the love that it has shown just reinforces to me that we have the best community on the internet. Like, it's so special. It's amazing.
And I still hardly believe it because I still hardly believe that I was worthy of it. I felt much the same when we were about to launch the Ultimate Creativity Collection. I put all this work into this big box with all my different dreams and passions and all these different themes and everything I'd carefully thought about and curated. And it felt weird to feel so emotionally conflicted over a product, something that I'd put together to sell. But I think because each individual box represented something that I deeply love, and I want to share that. I want other people to be lifted out of their own circumstances or vulnerabilities and discover how much creativity can give you and how much you're capable of.
There are going to be people who are going to experience one or more of these mediums or experiences, and it is going to change their life, and it's going to awaken something inside them. I know that.
But as soon as I feel like I'm asking for too much, it scares the crap out of me because deep down, I don't feel worthy. As soon as the question is, am I good enough for this? Do I deserve this?
I ask myself
I
that
fall into
all the
this
time.
place that I'm in today. When I see other creators who have Patreons, I think, like, of course they deserve support. James Lee, Nerdforge and Squidmar and all these amazing, talented people. And I always have thought,
Love
like, yeah, of
Nerdforge.
course they would. And I think in starting my Patreon, I feel like I'm holding my hat out at the same time and thinking, why would people support me when, I mean, look at them, you know? But I've reached a sort of, I wouldn't say breaking point, turning point, fork in the road, maybe is the best term for it. And the last time I sort of really hit a moment like this, I did what I'm doing now. I needed to be honest, and that was a video called I Don't Like What I've Become, which was sort of responding to some of the building in inauthenticity in my videos as I navigated the YouTube platform, and something I really felt myself. And so just sort of owning up to that and talking about that and diagnosing it and airing it, you know, I think it really helped the community who maybe loved what I did at one point and drifted away from it, recognize that, you know, okay, well, let's bring that back, you know. And I feel much the same now in terms of where my content on this channel has gone. I have fought tooth and nail to do 2 videos a week. It's more than just providing for myself. I need to provide a workplace, a business, and a livelihood for everyone who has joined my vision and is building this with me.
You do
and all
so
of that, at
much,
the end of the
man.
day, rests on my shoulders. If I'm not performing on YouTube well enough, that's at risk. But what's also at risk
That's a lot.
is my passion and how much I love what I do. And that was really being tested in the last year in particular. I usually find something I really enjoy in what I do, but at the end of the day, there's only so much you can milk a cow and get something worthwhile out of it. And that is the nature of this platform. And I hit a point where I realized, okay, I need to love what I do more. And a couple of months ago, I decided to go to 1 video a week with the hope to be able to elevate the quality of the content. I'm finding that even now when I'm working towards, you know, filming a video a week, YouTube is making it really hard to stay motivated. The content has suffered and YouTube tends to work in spirals. And if you're spiraling up, it's elating and exciting and you just get this drive and you can just build from height to height. And I've experienced that multiple times. And YouTube spirals down. And if your views are going down, the next video's views go down, and then you feel crap about yourself, and then it's hard to feel really inspired about the next video. And now more than ever, I am stretched in every direction because I'm building something for everyone. But in doing that, in being someone for everyone, in managing and supporting and empowering Tabletop Time and Insert Art and my editing team and trying to create a vision of what the future of the company is going to be and what we can create, the time I fight for when I finally get to come and sit down and create the videos I want you to love and I want to love making, I feel kind of hollow, and it's not because I don't love what I do. It's because I wish I could do more exciting or risky or interesting videos. And it's gotten to this place now where the channel, especially on 1 video a week, needs to move forward in a way that is successful. And at the moment, to do that, I have to get ad revenue. I have to get clicks on videos, and that feels like it's such an anti-creative process to have cool projects that you know people are going to love, that you can't justify the time because you have to release on a certain schedule to keep the lights on. And that.
All right, I'm sorry for pausing, but I do have an opinion before I lose an opinion on this, because this is a type of part that it was hard for me as a musician to think about. This is where, like, it's for the music, not for the money, which I actually talked about from my last video too. And you're trying to do something that actually helps you along the way. But this is actually a perfect reason why to say that you had to provide not only for his business, but also for people that work in his business. And also he has a wife, and then he has a couple kids, and he has a house, and he has a car. You know, all these things add up to the point that nothing's free, period. And as a creator, you're like, man, I'm doing this just to try to push for more money. But it's not just for money. It's for pushing the money so I can actually do all these things for you guys, or do the things for my kids, because they need to do education, they need the experience, and my wife needs to be taken care of as well. And obviously she'd be working, but even though if she is or is not working as a man in a household, usually is you got to take care of your kids and your wife. Well, of course, it doesn't have to roll that way all the time. It could be your wife taking care of all of you guys. But with a lot of stress on your shoulders, you got to do what you got to do. And you should not feel ashamed about it, even to you, Jazza, if you ever, I doubt you'll ever see this video. But if you ever feel stress on these things, I mean, don't feel stressed. I have learned really well with my mentor, and I always going to say to everyone else, have a mentor to help you out through and through, to help you get through the games of this, especially if someone specializes of growing a business, especially that. And it just boils down to this. It's a business. I mean, yeah, you're an artist, but it's a business. You got to do things that is business-like things. And it's unfortunate at the times, because for me, I wanted to go from jazz to heavy metal. It's weird. But I can't do that, because my audience will go, I like this stuff, and then YouTube is going to figure out some other stuff for you. It's like, okay, you're either going to go up or you're going to go down. And YouTube doesn't like that. YouTube likes that if you hit really high views and every single time on this certain thing you do, but you can't be doing the same thing over and over again and then not expect that person to burn out eventually. And there's so many obstacles, there's so many strategies you can do, there's so many things that really stumble and fall as a business perspective things, which is very tough on YouTube. So I think, and I agree with him so far right now, a Patreon page would be very smart. All right, I'm going to finish this off.
That's when I realized this is a no-brainer. Patreon is the answer, because then I can spend more time on projects. I can bring more help in. I can go bigger or do different things. And the long and short of it, work creatively with more stability, with an underlying sense that there's people that want and support your work. You're not always sort of sucking up to the algorithm. So I made that decision, and then the fear set in, and here I am. Now, I've sat in the negative for too long. In reality, I have massive dreams and visions. And in the past, when I've shared my dreams and my insecurities at the same time, so far, everyone's been really supportive. And in those two examples that I shared earlier, the crowdfunding for my backyard shed was overwhelmingly supportive. We smashed our goal enough to not only renovate that shed and get extra equipment and do bigger videos, that was the start of a ripple effect that meant that within a year we'd already moved to a new house with a studio triple, quadruple the size that we were in previously, which was the beginning of the future, the trajectory of this channel. The Ultimate Creativity Collection, that sharing of all the things I cared about, was the reason that we could afford this studio. It was so successful that I was able to start new channels and build branches on this tree of creativity that could bloom in many different directions, that thrive independently of what I do personally. I am incapable of thinking small. I am incapable of taking a break. It's who I am. So that's not going to go anywhere. I have huge dreams for this channel and where I want to take you into the future. And to do that, I need your help. I can't do it alone. And after making 1,400 videos over 10 years on YouTube without asking for ongoing support, I've reached a point where I know I need to ask for help. So if you can, and if you're willing, any support at any level on Patreon would be so gratefully received and would make all the difference. I'm really excited by where we're going, and I'm really scared to be asking for help to get there. But I know we can't without your help. So I could have done a Patreon launch in some other view-oriented video, but I think at the end of the day, people join Patreon because they believe in people that they're supporting. And that's why I've been feeling this way. Because I need you to believe in me, not because of what I make, not because of creativity I get to hide behind because I'm good at what I do, but because I care, and I will always care, and I will always try, and I may not always be the best, and I may not always get it right, but I'll always try. And I'm never going to stop.
I'm guessing he's going to go out in the outro. Right here. I won't let it play for a little bit. But I would say that was a well done video to say that how he feels and everything. And I think that being very open and honest with your audience also is really helpful. Yes, like he said, it's a more of a sappy, sad type of deal, but that's who he is. That's just, you don't want to just show that it's not you, because if you show not you, I mean think of it this way: if you just launch and say, hey, I have a Patreon, join me, and here's the levels, and probably people would join that. But something more, in my opinion, I'm going to say this, there's something more real when you kind of go in this way of how you feel. Now, he gets a little bit more emotional side than most people I know of that launches a Patreon. Like another channel I follow that makes me really want to do it. It's called La Vagabond. They sail across the sea. They did not want to do it either. They didn't want to ask for more help, because it's not just because they want money and anything, but they want to pursue the dream. But also, in order to pursue the dream, they have to do that in order to make the channel work, you know? And it's kind of like the same thing right here. In order to pursue a dream, as artwork, as himself, what he does, he has to have an ability. Look at that claw right there. That was like one of my favorites. But yeah, you have to do things in order to try to figure out what is the best thing to do to get help. And a lot of times it's not easy to ask for the help, because you're not asking for money, but also, I mean, in order to keep the business going, you need to get that support. And not always YouTube as a platform is the best way to do it. Now, and probably years ago it was like that, but not always. Sometimes when you grow vastly into a business, you have to have different avenues quite well to try to figure out what is the best thing, next thing. Because one of my mentors for my music, let's say, they got to be really within the times, right? So within being the times, like let's say 10 plus years ago, he would say Facebook and Twitter to be the primary sources for social media. But now these days, you would say more Instagram and TikTok. And then YouTube has always been that middle ground. It always helps out for sure. But the point is, the times are different today versus 8 years ago. It's not the same anymore. So you had to figure out ways as a business to adapt what are people like to watch on. And if he doesn't have a TikTok, I would really emphasize doing like short clips. If he doesn't have a TikTok, I'm not sure he does or not. I mean, if Jazza, some reason why, if you are watching this, and again, I really doubt it, but if some reason why you're watching this, I would say do something like that. As an opinion of mine, of course, it's opinion. It's not really like, don't take it as like I know better. I don't. But what I see though, and what I'm trying to grow my brand for, like being a Freddie Bryant Myers from my music, which I'm starting, so obviously everything's slow, but in this channel, it kind of just helps out other people. Just a shout out to people that are great creators and everything, or building up to be a great creator. As in, it can be music, it can be art, it can be games, whatever it is. I don't care. But I'm trying to figure out what's a good branding for this channel as well. But anyways, I digress. But what I see is that TikTok is one of the few great places a lot of people are on. Unfortunately, and I don't like, for me, I don't like being on social media, but I have to do it in order to communicate and really get that attention and get the people attention basically too. But I never was like that type of person. I'm always face-to-face type of person. I would like to meet you in person to do this type of stuff. So it has taken me, and still working on doing better on social media just to connect with people. That communication, that connection, like a lot of people like. So right now, I would say if you don't have a TikTok, I would definitely start that way. And I wouldn't do anything different on TikTok, but it would be a great segue, like a little clip of what you're doing on YouTube, and that way you have a string to YouTube from that way. And I hope that would be a great idea for him. But also what he's doing right now, like I was saying earlier, which he kind of spoke afterwards too, is that Patreon is the one that would make the most sense, because people can do the best support that way, not because of YouTube. And it's very, I bet that's very challenging. I'm learning a lot from other creators, how ups and downs it can be. Another creator on YouTube I watch, I always mess up his name because his last name is Ramsey. I don't know how many Ramseys I know. I think it's Chris Ramsey. He does a lot of magic stuff. I'm gonna look real quick just in case. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it's Chris Ramsey, because there's so many Ramseys I know. There's Gordon Ramsay, there's Dave Ramsey, and now there's Chris Ramsey. Anyways, he was having some troubles too, because of he wants to do so much for his team, but then when he puts a video out, it doesn't do as well. And all of a sudden he feels like he does a lot of work, and all of a sudden he doesn't get a lot out of it. And it's challenging when that happens. And even with Chris Ramsey, I would suggest to help him out too. But he's doing things to keep him focused, to keep on going. And I know Jazza is going to do the exact same thing. He's going to keep on going, stay focused, and even though he hates for ask for help. But the end of video, I would say definitely support Jazza in his journey. If you love art like he does, he loves touching people with his arts and crafts, and having other people in his team work along with him. And he has other channels like Insert Art, like he was talking about earlier in this video. And he does have also Tabletop Time. I think it's Tabletop Time Roleplay and Tabletop Time. So he has, so far as I know there's another channel, but he doesn't use it. There's 4 channels he does. So I definitely support him as best as you can. And just a shout out to him, because he is a phenomenal artist, really phenomenal. And he has other people that works for him that are awesome as well. And I know they want to create and do things in their dream. And they do sell products too. So if you want to get into arts and crafts, definitely look at what he has for that kind of stuff. Other than that, I just want to give a shout out. I'm not sure I'm going to post this video. It's a long video, actually. I actually should put this. I don't know. I almost want to think about it. I should put an introduction on this, but maybe not. Either way, definitely get a shout out to him. Give him support. That's all I got to say about that. Take care, everyone.